whatever your previous experience and confidence levels with primary computing, computer science, you take something away from the course. Great to hear about all of the microbits rollout and stuff as well. So, you know, you can take what we're covering, some of the stuff we're covering in these sessions, and apply it to the use of the microbits in your school as well. So I'm going to get started and share a presentation and talk you through what we're planning to cover this evening. As Louise said, and as I said at the beginning, any questions, please pop them in the chat. Louise will monitor that and stop me as required, or just jump onto the microphone and shout out. Really don't mind at all. I want to make sure that we make these sessions as useful as possible for yourselves, which is all about that two-way interaction, feedback and discussion. And on that point, I'm going to go to the presentation now, but I'm going to do a few different activities, as Louise knows that I like to include. And so if you do have a camera at that point, please do pop it on. It's always nice for us to be able to see who we're talking to and seeing you taking part. So I'm going to jump over to the presentation, which I'm hoping to share. So,
oh, it's looking good.
Can you see my presentation?
Yep.
Is it in full screen, Louise?
It is in. It's now in full screen. Excellent. Right. I thought David Crooks was a way to present there as well. I saw him on the screen.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear that.
That's okay. That's totally fine. I'm going to mute myself now and stop talking.
Right, okay, we're good to go. Yeah, right, super. So, first of all, before I make a start, please can everyone note down this code, Charlie Tango November 67123, CTN 67123, and I will do the same. We're going to be using that as we go through for a couple of the activities. So, as we said, this is part one. This is computational thinking, and this is the kind of underlying, really important transferable problem-solving skills, which we're going to get into, which we want at the heart of our computing science curriculum. So the materials that I'm going to use over the coming weeks come from Barefoot Computing. So Barefoot is a project that's been running for a number of years now, which I'm director of at the BCS. And as Louise said, I spend half my week doing that and then half my week in the classroom teaching computing in the School of Manchester. But just to give you a little bit of brief background of Barefoot, so if you haven't heard of it, just to kind of bring you up to speed on what it is and how it can help. It was initially established in England by the Department for Education when the transition between ICT and computing happened in England. But since then, it has been endorsed by Education Scotland, as well as some of the other, or all of the other devolved nations, in supporting teachers in those devolved nations make a similar transition with their curricula. So originally, we focused primarily on the what I would call computer science elements of the new our new computing curriculum, so programming, coding, understanding how computer networks work. And what we did is we were all about supporting teachers to make that transition. We were asking teachers to teach this stuff, and they'd never been taught it themselves. It wasn't part of their curriculum. So they needed their confidence and subject knowledge building, and that's what the Barefoot project was all about. What we have produced are a number of cross-curricular computing activities. Louise talked at the beginning there about the primary school teacher in her mind always going to how can we teach things in a cross-curricular manner, making links to other subjects to build that understanding. And all of our materials are cross-curricular. So, you know, whether it's doing a Viking RAID animation in Scratch or using programming to make maths times table quiz, we're constantly looking for ways to bring in other subjects. So we've got our computing activities, so sort of lesson plans, but we've also then got a whole bank of material for yourselves as teachers, subject knowledge materials that you can work your way through if there's anything you are unclear of. It's all developed by teachers for teachers and informed by academic research. So we have close relationships with organisations that are developing and conducting research into computing education in the UK and beyond. And our resources are developed by practicing teachers who do sort of writing in their spare time and test this stuff in the class and get rid of what doesn't work and keep what does work. And we've got a nice area on the website where you can keep up to date with recent kind of research and pedagogy articles as well, which I will show you a little later on. So objectives to this session, as I said, we're going to start with something called computational thinking, and we're going to start with knowing what that is and why it's important. And the aim is to develop your confidence in introducing, teaching, wherever it is you're on that journey, computing science in your school, and to show you, and this is the theme sort of going through these sessions, there's only so much we can cover in the time we've got, so it's about covering some stuff and signposting you to where you can continue your professional development journey. So I'm going to say one more slide and then we're going to get going. So computational thinking, where does it sit? Well, in the English curriculum, we have a distinction within computing where it breaks down into 3 strands: information technology, digital literacy, and computer science. And in different developed nations curricula, these areas are divided up with slightly different language. But the takeaway point here is that computational thinking wraps around all of that. It is at the real heart, as I keep saying, it's a phrase of mine, it's at the real heart of what we are trying to develop in pupils in their computing lessons. It is incredibly valuable to them, not just in computing, but right across a range of subjects. And this is a favorite quote of mine by Steve Jobs, which kind of sums up computational thinking, who says that everyone should know how to program a computer because it teaches you how to think. And on that note, and I've probably put these slides around the wrong way actually, because now I'm going to ask you what you think computational thinking is. So what do we think is Barefoot's view for primary pupils of computational thinking? Is it A, thinking like a computer, B, letting a computer do all the thinking, C, solving problems effectively with or without a computer, or D, thinking in a coding language? So I'm going to go quiet and have a sip of tea, and please respond in the chat with whichever one of the definitions you think is correct. So let's go quiet for 30 seconds. And when we've got a few come through, as I can't see the chat whilst I'm presenting, Louise, if you wouldn't mind sharing what we've got coming through, that would be much appreciated.
Well done, everybody. They've all basically said C.
Fantastic.
Solving problems effectively.
It is indeed. It is indeed. It is C. Just as a little aside, it's interesting to consider why it can't be A and B, thinking like a computer or letting a computer do all the thinking, and that's simply because computers do not think, and that's a bit of a misconception to look out for with pupils, particularly in the world that they're growing up in, with voice assistants like Siri that have a kind of humanoid aspect to them, but they are unable to think at the moment. They are just following sets of instructions, so it cannot be those. It is actually C, solving problems effectively with or without a computer. So we're aiming here to make great problem solvers out of our pupils, and the tools that they are then applying those problem solving skills into and using other computers or the digital technology, the coding, etc. So one of the first things that we did in Barefoot when the project was established was to actually set out a model of computational thinking, because it's all very well saying, we want to develop computational thinking, but that is too broad. We need to break that down into a number of different concepts, which are on the left-hand side here. We want to, say what are the individual kind of skills that we can develop in pupils. And we've got 6: logic, So I'm just going to briefly talk through these, but we're going to go into more detail and do some activities. So logic is all about having that logical mindset. You know, computers are purely logical devices, so we need to match our way of thinking when we're working with them to have that systematic logical approach that we wish pupils would have when it comes to them doing maths problems. Evaluation, you know, this is a skill that needs to be taught, the ability to make judgments against criteria. Algorithms, which we'll come on to in a second, which are just sequences of instructions which we can write and we can get computers to follow. Patterns, the ability to spot patterns is really important in the world of problem solving, because it lets you, if you spot a pattern, you can reuse something rather than creating it anew again. So you might, when pupils are doing some coding in Scratch, they might recognize that they always have to add this bit of code. There's a pattern that in every game they make, they have to add this bit of code. So they can actually just save that bit of code and draw on it and use it. And computer scientists do that kind of stuff all the time. Decomposition is all about breaking big problems down into smaller, more manageable chunks. And abstraction is about removing unnecessary detail. And we're going to do an activity with that as well. Now, the first activity we're going to do is, oh, is it hiding? Oh, it's hiding, and I'd like to do it. I don't know where that's gone. So we're going to do an activity called Crazy Characters, which links to those first two that have been highlighted, algorithms and decomposition. And with this activity, I'm going to say an algorithm, and it's going to have 5 steps to it. And I would like you to follow the steps, and I would like you to draw the character which I'm describing. So I'm going to give you an algorithm, you're going to follow the steps, and then we're going to look at them, which is why hopefully you're going to be able to pop your cameras on, because then you can hold them up to the camera. So the first step, if you all just get a piece of paper and a pen ready, the first step in the algorithm for the crazy character is to draw a triangular body. So if you can draw a triangular body for me, please, and I'm going to follow along with my algorithm here as well. So if you can all draw a triangular body. Now, the second step in the algorithm is to add 3 eyes to this crazy character. So you've got your triangular body, step 1. Step 2 is to add 3 eyes. Step 3 is to add 3 feet to your crazy character. And then just 2 steps to go. Step 4 is to add a tail. And step 5 is to add a crown. So I'll just recap those. Step 1 was to draw a triangular body. Step 2 was to add 3 eyes. Step 3 was to add 3 feet. Step 4 was to add a tail. And step 5 was to add a crown. Now I'm going to come off screen, off the share there, and I'm going to ask if you have a camera, please pop your camera on now. Oh, everyone's appearing. And when I say, there's a few eager people there, I'll wait for it. On 3, we're going to hold up our crazy characters, and I'm going to show you what I was thinking of as well. 1, 2, 3. That's the crazy character I wanted you to draw. And what do we all have? Ewan, unfortunately, I think yours keeps blocking you out because oh no, your screen thing is working now. Oh, fantastic. Right, great. Miss Warrender, we're just getting a view of your classified notes there at the moment, I think. Now, fab. So I can see that we do have similarities, but they are not all identical. Mr. Turnbull, are you able to come onto the microphone to just talk to me briefly about what you noticed. Please do keep your cameras on so that everyone so that Mr. Turnbull can see. What do you notice, sir? Are they all identical? Are they not? If not, why not? What do you think?
I think you're right. They've all got similar characteristics in that they have got the characteristics that were within your instructions, but they're all in different positions depending on people's interpretation from their own artistic point of view.
Fantastic. Couldn't have said it better myself. And what would you say then of the algorithm that I gave if it was supposed to be used for directing a computer and providing no room for interpretation? Is it a particularly good algorithm or not?
No. It's got holes, loads of holes.
Yeah, loads of holes. Yes, spot on. Thank you very much. Thanks for sharing that. Yeah, it wasn't a precise set of instructions, and that's a key word when we're talking about algorithms. They're not just a set of instructions; they are a precise set of instructions. When you get up into kind of A-level and university work around computing, you have these formal textbooks of algorithms which are precisely defined in maths or in flowcharts. And that's what, from a young age, we want pupils to be understanding and moving towards. So I'm just going to go back to sharing my screen. So that's one of our introductory algorithm activities. And it gives you a bit of a flavour of a barefoot activity in the sense that we do a lot which is unplugged, so not using computers, not using tech, but using paper-based ideas, drama, etc. And it also is cross-curricular. In the full activity, pupils write the instructions, the algorithm for their crazy character, and then they get different people to follow it. And if they all follow it and they all come out identical, great, that's a really precise algorithm. More likely they won't, and therefore they go back over them and edit them and introduce the kind of adding in adjectives, descriptive language to make them more precise, linking to their literacy learning. So that's an introduction to algorithms. Algorithms are everywhere in the primary classroom, primary environment. We see them in early years settings when they have boards that set out simple rules, because they are also examples of algorithms. So when you are done, if you can do a sort of reward task, or it might be in you see algorithms as storyboards in English lessons, or for making or writing digital films. They're all throughout maths. The whole of maths is kind of based around algorithms. We have the algorithms for what we do to multiply a number by 10 or divide it by 10. We move the digits one place to the left or right. These are all algorithms which we can draw pupils' attention to in the surrounding environment. And we've got an example of that here. So this is another one of our activities linking into maths. It's a simple number sequence, and I'd like you to do a bit of computational thinking. I'd like you to do some pattern spotting. Now you're going to try and spot what the pattern is between the numbers, and then when you've identified the pattern, it's going to give you a rule, your algorithm. And when you've got your rule, your algorithm, you can use that to make a logical prediction about what the next number in that sequence is going to be. So have a go. Or discuss it between, if there's a few of you tuning in from one computer, and pop your response into the chat, and Louise will see who's fastest with their maths this afternoon.
Oh, Miss Petkova is right in there, followed very swiftly by Miss Warrender. Both saying 301. Double and add 3.
Brilliant.
Miss, I so don't want to mispronounce your name, so I'm so sorry. I'm not even going to try it because it's going to just be rude if I mispronounce it. 301, double a digit to the left and add 3. David, 301, 301, 301.
Brilliant. Super. And yeah, and I love the fact that people are actually writing the algorithm in there as well. So you've identified, spotted the pattern, and given the next number in the sequence of 301. And we're doing loads of computational thinking there. As I say, we're identifying these algorithms that this time are in the form of rules. We're using logic to predict the next number in the sequence. We're spotting a pattern to give us that algorithm originally. And also, if we're working in groups, we might be sort of collaborating. These were some of the approaches to working that we have on the right-hand side of our computational thinkers poster. Things like persevering, collaborating, tinkering. These are the ways of working which we think really lend themselves to the subject of computing. Fantastic. Okay, super. Next activity we're going to do is around abstraction. So this is a particular favorite of mine. Louise probably knows that, so I always do this one. So abstraction is, as I said at the beginning, very briefly, it's all about focusing on important information, not getting bogged down in unnecessary detail, and focusing on the important information to solve our problem. Now, the real skill in abstraction is working out what information you can ignore. So to give you a much higher level example, you know, when engineers are designing aircraft and stuff and they build models of these aircraft to put in the wind tunnels, they're abstracting because those models that they build don't have all of the details. They're not going to worry about the color of the upholstery in the seats in the aircraft when they're testing it to find out whether it's going to fly. That information is not important. They are going to worry about the shape of the wings. So they have to choose, and then building models, and that includes when computer scientists build models, so when they're doing entirely digital things as opposed to actually building tangible wind tunnel models that engineers do. It's all about choosing what we need to include and what we can ignore. Now, extrapolate that back to a primary setting, and we've got a lovely activity here called speed drawing. So let's come off share, and please do pop your cameras on again. Let's get you on a nice large gallery mode. Miss Shannon, thank you. Welcome back. You're on the camera there. Here we've got Miss Allison. Super. I need a few more of you to make this work, really. Thank you, David. Let's get another couple. Mr. Tumbill's back. Emma. Hello. Emma, was it yourself that you said there's a few of you there? No, just yourself. Okay, right. Fab. Brilliant. Okay, so if you get a piece of paper and pen ready, we are going to do some speed drawing. So don't start yet because that would be cheating. I'm going to give you a very short amount of time to draw an animal. And the name of the game here is that we have to be able to guess when the time is up what you have drawn. So this is going to force you to abstract because you're going to think to yourself, well, what are the important features of the animal that I'm drawing, which is going to help other people guess what it is, and what are the irrelevant features that I can leave out. So it kind of is almost forcing you to abstract, forcing you to introduce you to abstraction. So we'll start with 15 seconds, which is a generous amount of time. I'm banning snakes because that's far too easy, or anything like that, slow worms, whatever it might be. But apart from that, you can choose any animals. So 3, 2, 1, off you go. Three, 2, 1. Right, pens down, and please now for this one we need to you need to hold them up, but then kind of lean round them as well. Miss Shannon, I can't wait to see yours. The way you're chuckling there. Oh, that's fantastic! I've never seen a better pig. Right, let's get some people. Mrs. Wilkinson, would you like to come on to the microphone, please? Drop yours down because I can see yours. And would you like to have a guess at somebody else's? See if you can guess any of them.
I can't see. I see one's a giraffe, but I can't see who it is.
I think
Oh,
that's
Miss Warrender is a giraffe.
Oh, I think somebody else put their thumbs up though, thinking that you were guessing theirs, which will give that away as a giraffe
Oh, right,
as well.
I didn't see that.
Yeah, no, but I would have got both.
This is a dog.
I think that is a dog. Yeah, brilliant.
And
Any more you want to guess?
David Crooks is a rabbit. I can't see
David
it.
David Cooks is
Yeah,
a rabbit.
thumbs up.
Yeah.
I can't see any more than that.
Okay, that's fab. Well, I think I'm going to go for Mrs. Baxter's as being a cat. And Miss Shannon and I was only joking. Obviously, it was a horse, I think. Was it a horse? Yes. We've got another couple of cats at the bottom there as well. Yours, Miss Wilkinson. Fantastic. Right. Okay. Drop them down. Oh, and Emma, was that an elephant there? Yeah. Was it an elephant? Fantastic.
Yes.
Brilliant. Yeah. A bit of a Picasso elephant, but definitely an elephant.
No, that was an elephant because she had looked at the most important part of the elephant and she drew the big giant elephant ears.
She did.
Spend my time on the important parts first.
Yeah.
You did indeed. Is that you talking then, Louise? I haven't got a...
Yeah, sorry, I put my camera off because I didn't want to interrupt.
It just came out of nowhere there. Right, we're going to do it again, but this time you're only going to have 5 seconds. Okay? It's a different animal. Same rules apply about snakes, but see what you can convey in 5 seconds. All right, here we go, starting from now. 3, 2, 1. Pens down and hold them up to the camera. Oh, love it, David. Okay. Right. Who? Ewan. Is it Ewan? Do you want to come on microphone there?
Yep.
And have a guess. Can you guess at any of the others for us?
I can guess Mrs. Wilkinson's got a giraffe. David Crooks has a fish.
I don't think Miss Wilkinson's is a giraffe. I think you're right on David's, but she appears to be giving the thumbs down to a giraffe. I would have guessed.
It's like a llama or something like that.
Okay. Mrs. Shannon. What do we think Mrs. Shannon's is? Is it a rear view of an elephant? Is it? Fantastic. Yeah, okay. And anyone want to guess Mrs. Baxter's? No, I take that as a no. No one wants to guess.
A cow.
Yay. Okay, super. Mr. Turnbull. What's Mr. Turnbull? Oh, is that the
Why?
Oh, and that's the path it's leaving behind. Yeah, fantastic. Okay, super. We better crack on and do something other than drawing. But I hope you like that activity. Simple, easy to do. One thing I would say is that I am doing like snippets of the full activity here just to give you a taster. So the full activity on the actual resource, you go into people's need to know, okay, it's an activity, fun activity, but why are they doing it? What are they developing? So lots of talk around the language of abstraction, what has been included, what has been left out, why is it important to include it, why is it not important, why can it be left out? So, and also with this one as well, if I'm in person doing sessions, I'll do it with Play-Doh actually. It's quite fun as a sort of speed modelling activity. Just nice kinesthetic learning, nice hands-on, but introducing quite a tricky concept to get your head around. Okay, so we are going to kind of rattle through things as we've got over the sort of 4 weeks. We're already over halfway through this week. So as I said at the beginning, a bit of this is about showing you some examples, activities, showing you some resources, and signposting you to where you can access other resources, other materials like that. So that sort of first half of this session around computational thinking pure computational thinking unplugged activities is now going to lead me in to start to make the transition and how we apply some of that thinking and computational thinking in the context of programming. We're going to start this week with a sort of key stage 1 focus. Sorry, for I'll go on. So ages 5 to 7. Pupils aged 5 to 7, and then as we progress through into the programming of next week and the week after, that will be more for pupils sort of 7 to 11. And this kind of connection between doing the pure computational thinking activities and then it being applied in the programming context, I think sometimes is left out a little bit. So, you know, when I'm working with different schools, you often see great unplugged computational thinking work happening. You see some great programming work happening, but the two aren't as linked as closely as ideally I'd like them to be, because they should be, you know, really closely linked. So let's start to go now into how does that apply in a programming context. So the first thing to say is that programming is a two-step process. So the first step we would call the design, and the way to think of this is a bit like sort of design technology subject areas. We do a design of something and then we go and make it. We've got that same model in programming, and it's that design stage where a lot of the computational thinking comes in. In the world of computer science, in the world of programming, of the industry, computer science industry, it's often completely different teams of people that do the design compared with those that then go and turn those designs into code. And I'm sure the coders would disagree with this, but it's probably the design stage in some ways which is harder, because that is the actual problem-solving element. You're working out how you are going to design a solution to the problem that you've been given. So, with Mark Zuckerberg, he had this idea of a wall, and people could post and write stuff and it would appear on that wall, and then other people, users, could like that. And you can imagine him with sort of flow charts and flipboard and post-it notes trying to work out conceptually how this thing would all fit together, and then you would take that design and then just go and get someone to build it from those instructions. So in primary programming, we are trying to replicate that two-step process, and it's often that first step that gets dropped. So this is not just for the older pupils either. This is for, I've got the 5 to 7 year example here. So we're using B-bots. You're probably all sort of familiar, or might have seen a B-bot in your schools. We have an activity which we'll have a go at in a second, where we get pupils to get the B-bot to draw out different digital numbers. But before they get the B-bot out, they can solve this problem with a mini whiteboard and a pen. It is about writing an algorithm for the instructions for the B-bot to move. It is about then getting a printout of a B-bot, a fake bot, and testing it, walking it through the steps, debugging it, which is finding any errors in it, changing them. And then when they're really confident that they've actually already solved that problem, they just go and plug the commands into the B-bot. There's, with the B-bot as well, there's some practical reasons why you'd want pupils to work in this manner. The B-bot doesn't show you what commands you put in, you just push the buttons. So, if you make an error, it's difficult to see the code there to try and work out where your error might be. So it's this two-step approach, this model, which I'll keep coming back to when we're talking about programming, and when we move on to the programming pedagogy session, which is the final session, which is really important. So let's have a go at this, because we do have access using that code in a minute to a B-bot simulator. So I'd like you to try and get this B-bot to draw out the digit 8. So I'm going to go quiet in just a moment, and ask you to, first of all, write out the algorithm. Now, just in case anyone is unclear about how Bebot works and the commands that it has available, it has four direction commands. It can move forward, one step forward, one step back, or it can pivot on itself 90 degrees to the left or 90 degrees to the right. So it has those four commands that are available. And when we jump into this simulator, which we've built in Scratch, you'll have access to those four commands. So you can see in the bottom right here, go forward, go back, turn left, turn right. So first step, I'll give you a couple of minutes. If you're working with other people, do it as a discussion. Write out the algorithm to get this Bebot starting in this position, facing in this direction, to draw out the digital 8. Okay, however you want to write out those commands. If you want to write out forwards, backwards, turn left and right, fine. If you want to write F, B, L, if you want to do arrows, doesn't matter with algorithms. It's whatever works for you. So just have a go at that, and I will be back in 1 minute. Okay, just give me another 30 seconds or so to have a go at that. Okay, now, as I said, in working in the classroom, working with pupils, we get them to write out the algorithm like that, and then have a go with something like a fake bot. So an image of a Bebot tracing through each of those steps in your algorithm to see whether or not you agree with what you've written, and if you don't, you can debug it, which correct any errors. Then what we do is we plug those commands into the Bebot to see if it's correct. And to simulate that this afternoon, we have a Bebot simulator. But I'm just going to show you where to access that. And I didn't actually mean to stop sharing there. I just meant to switch to the Barefoot website. So if you could please, or in a separate tab, go to barefootcomputing.org, and I'll just drop that URL into the chat there. For you to click on, make it slightly easier. You will see that at the top right here, there is a workshops tab. Please log in. First of all, hopefully you should have all might have all signed up ahead of the session. I'm not sure, Louise, sorry if I wasn't clear on that as a reminder that people needed to sign up. Can I just get a show of hands kind of thing if people are signed up to Barefoot? Because if they're not, there's a workaround here that I can do.
I don't think I didn't tell anyone to sign up beforehand.
Right. Yeah, no, sorry. I forgot to say. So in the chat, just really quickly, an N for no if you're not signed up. Yes, you are signed up. Just pop in the chat, just because it might be that people are already sort of aware of Barefoot and had signed up. Yeah, we've got a bit of a mixed bag. Okay, that's fine. Right, okay, so two different approaches here. Yes, but personal account, not school. Right, if you do have a Barefoot account, please do follow this approach because it is the way that we track engagement with our program. So that would be much appreciated. And then I will show the workaround for those that aren't. It'll only take a minute or so. But if you are registered, on Barefoot Computing, you simply log in, and then in the workshop point at the top here, at the top menu, you say register attendance, and you pop in the code that we wrote down at the beginning, which I now can't find. I've got it here, CTN.
I popped into the chat.
Oh, fab, thank you. 67123. So I'll just show you that again. You sign in and then just go to the top here, workshops, register attendance, and you pop in CTN 67123. When you do that, it will give you the opportunity to click on this link to access the Bebot activity, and you simply click there and it will take you through to this page here. For anyone that doesn't have an account, you can follow the link which I've just popped into the chat. But I would really appreciate it if you do have an account, rather than just following the link, please do the login, because then it will first of all it will send you a quick feedback form, and it will just register your attendance with us at our end. But either of the two ways, I'll just give you a second to do that, and then you should all get to the Bebot simulator here, and then I'll explain how we're quickly going to use this. So I'll just go quiet for 20 seconds or so, give people a chance to get there. Okay, super. So just to share then, you can make it full screen if you want, clicking on this one here. Click the green flag to start the simulator. It's really easy to use. All you have to do is enter your algorithm by using these commands. So if, for example, yours started with forward, left, whatever it might be, enter your full algorithm. If you make a mistake, you clear it and you can start again. And then when you are ready to test it, simply click go, and the Bebot will trace out whatever it was that you programmed in. And you can see whether or not you managed to draw an 8. So again, I'll go quiet for a couple of minutes, give it a go, and then I'll see if anyone doesn't mind sharing their screen just to show us how they got on. Okay, yeah, no, super. So, and in terms of sort of accessing resources and stuff, that's how I'm going to finish up the session this evening, because we've kind of gone on the journey there, been starting out with some computational thinking unplugged activities. Now we're starting to move into the programming, where we're taking that, we're doing the algorithmic thinking, and then we're turning that into code. We're going to continue that next week's session in a Key Stage 2 context, working with Scratch. But let me just finish by giving you a little bit more of a tour of the Barefoot website and showing you how you access everything. So it's a completely free sign up, and it's fairly quick to do. Once you're signed up and you're logged in the My Barefoot area, you can set your curriculum. So if you go into My Barefoot and My Curriculum, on the left-hand side, you can set which nation you are based in. By doing that, it provides you then with all of the information, the relative information about how the resources map to the relevant curricula where you are. As I said at the start, we have all of our resources, and all the resources we're developing mapped to the different curricula, so that you can then build it into the planning and use in your school. Along the top here, by far the most popular tab there is the lessons, and you can go into the lessons then and filter, because I've now got it set to Scotland by early years, first level, second level, etc. And it will filter all of our resources that are available by whatever criteria put on the side here. So you might be choosing the actual Learning objectives, the curriculum links, whether it's algorithms, whether it's repetition when we come on to programming, and it will show you all the materials that we've got available. We do then keep our featured resources at the top here, depending on what campaign we've got running at the moment. So this one here is from just before the summer with the Commonwealth Games. So we release probably about 3 to 4 new resources each year. We try and tie them in with big national events. So again, making those kind of bigger connections and showing how we can use our computing in these kind of wider contexts. We then also have across the top here, we started to just create a few pages pulling together all of our resources. So we've got early years materials all in one place for younger learners, 3 to 5. We've got a particular space for all of our kind of cyber-based resources, looking at cyber resilience, cyber security, online safety materials all in one place, and we're adding to them as well. And then just to finish, to go back into that My Barefoot area, it's in here where if you go into the My Learning tab, we get into the area of the website which has got all of that professional content for your own subject knowledge, as opposed to just the lesson plans to deliver with your pupils. So we've got guides written on all of the different computational thinking concepts or computer science. We've got guides to using Scratch resources, and we've got research pedagogy articles, which we will be looking at when we come in to that final week. So that's a really quick whistle-top tour. As we're using Barefoot resources each week, we'll be dipping back into this, so we'll see it. Please do, if you don't have an account, I'm going to finish up now by just saying, please sign up by next week if you can, because next week we are going to be accessing several Scratch resources like the Bebop Simulator, which require you to enter the code, etc. So I've run over by a minute, so I'm going to stop there. And then if there are any sort of quick last minute questions, I'm happy to answer them or roll them over and pick them up in next week.
I've just popped in a link to the test Bebop printable resources that you could use. So there's a whole bunch of really, really good activities, linked to farm animals, coins, a whole range of subjects that are part of that. I've also popped in a link, just to build on the computational thinking of Barefoot, which is the BABRAS. Really great activities within there, a really great competition. It is a global competition as well, a UK competition that you can get your kids involved in. But you can also go out and check. You can also play along with some of the previous BABRAS competitions. If you've never looked at that, definitely dive on in and let me know what you think. So that is there. Dr. Chips, thank you very, 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 very much again for an incredibly entertaining introduction to computing science. And thank you very much everyone for coming along. As I said, jump on into the Computing Science Leadership General page. If you have any questions, we are there to help and support. John is in that team. We've also got Lorna Gibson in that team as well from Microbit Education Foundation. And also remember, Code Club resources are out there as well. Phew, 2 minutes over. Sorry for taking 2 minutes of your time, but please feel free to hang on if you've got any questions to ask. We will be here. But thank you and enjoy the rest of your evening. And hopefully we'll also see you at Workshop 2 and Workshop 3 and Workshop 4.
Yep.
Thanks. Good night, everyone.
Bye.